It's like, hey, I'm about to I'm about to buy a bottle. Is this something I can deduct? This week's episode of Tax Talk, I'm going to be talking about meals and entertainment, what they are, which ones can you deduct, which ones you can deduct, or how much of it can you deduct. Hello guys, welcome. It's Yembe here from Tax Talk. This topic today was actually inspired by a client of mine who was also a friend of mine in university. They reached out to me over the weekend because I believe they were out with their client as well. And he's like, hey, I'm about to buy a bottle. Is this something I can deduct, right? So I figured if he had that questions, there's people out there with the same kind of questions. So for the purpose of the video, I'm going to break down meals and entertainment into two different components, right? I'll talk about the meals part, what's included in there, then I'll talk about entertainment, and then I'll talk about some exceptions, right? Generally speaking, if you are a business owner, only half of your meals and entertainment are deductible, meaning 50%, right? So what's included in meals? Well, if you take a client out, go for lunch, go for dinner, that's, so the food you eat and the drinks you drink, those are included in the meals, right? If you take a prospective client out, same thing, the food and the drinks you drink, that's included in the meals, right? If you go to lunch with, say you're an accountant, you go to lunch with a lawyer who you're trying to network with to try and help your clients, that same thing, that the food and the drinks you drink, that is included in the meals. If you're an employer and you take your employee out, same thing, the food you eat and the drinks you drink are included in meals, right? Now, what's included in entertainment? Well, if you are a business owner and you take a client out to a hockey game, those hockey tickets are entertainment. If you take a prospective client out to a concert, the tickets to that concert, that is included in entertainment. And like I said at the start, generally speaking, only 50% of both of those things can be deducted. So let's say you take a prospective client out to a hockey game and those hockey tickets cost you $200. Well, you can only deduct $100 for tax purposes. And same thing, if you take an employee out for lunch and you spend $100 on food and drinks, well, only $50 is deductible for tax purposes. Now, there are exceptions to this rule, and these are all found in subsection 67.11 of the Income Tax Act. If you're somebody, say a restaurant, you're in the business of providing food and drinks to clients, obviously these rules don't apply to you, because your costs are food and drinks. So obviously 100% of your food and drinks are deductible for tax purposes. The second exception here, there are many exceptions, but these are two that I thought would apply to most people. The second one is, if you are an employer, you have an office, and you have a party for all the staffs in the office, right? The reason why there's an exception here is if that meal and that entertainment is available to the entire office, then obviously you're not subject to that 50% rule. In that situation, 100% of your expenses would be deductible. The only catch is it has to be available to all your employees, right? So those are two exceptions. There are a lot of other exceptions. For instance, if you are somebody that works away from home and you're gone for more than a certain amount of period, there are many exceptions, but those two are the ones that I thought might be the most relevant. Now, just to recap, generally speaking, meals and entertainment, if you're self-employed or in a company, only 50% of them are deductible, right? So what's included in meals? Well, is drinks and food. If you take a client out, a prospective client out, an employee out, those rules are the same. And what's included in entertainment? Well, hockey tickets, concert tickets, and things of that nature. Generally speaking, only 50% of those can be deducted, right? And there are a couple exceptions. The first exception I mentioned was you are in the business of selling food and beverages, right? Obviously, all of your costs will be deductible, so you're not subject to that 50% rule. And the second exception was if the meal and entertainment is available to all the employees in your office, you're also not subject to that 50% rule. In that case, 100% of your meals would be deductible, right? So I hope that helps. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below or send me a direct message and I'll gladly answer them for you guys. Thank you very much and have a wonderful week.